Before emo became a buzzword, there was a generation of bands that poured their hearts into underground records and DIY shows, and almost no one outside the scene knew their names. Today, we're counting down the greatest 90s emo bands nobody talks about. Bands that helped define a genre, but never got the fame they deserved. Number 10. Christy Front Drive. Christy Front Drive was a Denver emo band that formed in 1993. They released splits with Jimmy Eat World and Boys Life in 1995, with frontman Eric Richter even singing backup vocals on Jimmy Eat World's Static Prevails. The band officially called it quits in May 1996, playing a couple secret house shows later that year before their final New Year's Eve show. Their only full-length album, commonly called Stereo, was released posthumously in 1996 on Caulfield Records. AllMusic called them a vital 1990s link between hardcore and modern emo, and they're now considered one of the founders of Midwest emo. They broke up before anyone outside the underground knew they existed, but their influence was huge. Number 9. Jimmy Eat World. Before The Middle made them MTV stars, they were just kids from Arizona signed to Capitol Records with almost no help from the label. Their 1996 debut, Static Prevails, sold less than 10,000 copies in its first year. The marketing team was so clueless, they actually suggested the band play outside 7-Elevens to get noticed. Capitol was hoping for catchy pop punk, but the band delivered moody, slow-burn emo songs like Claire and the epic 7-minute Digits. The label eventually dropped them after their follow-up, Clarity, also struggled to sell. However, both albums became cult classics and paved the way for countless other bands before the group finally hit it big with Bleed American in 2001. Number 8. Braid. Dozen roses in the car, and I don't know where you are. Maybe I don't know. Braid recorded their classic album Frame and Canvas in just 5 days back in December 1997. Even though they were known as an unstoppable machine for their non-stop touring, the album only sold about 16,000 copies by 2004. What made them special was the way singers Bob Nana and Chris Broach traded vocals. It gave their music a smart, complex vibe that didn't sound like anything on the radio. Things got tough during a stressful final tour through Japan and Hawaii that left them broke and frustrated. The final straw came when Chris Broach decided to focus on his education instead of the band's exhausting schedule. They ended up breaking up right before the emo scene turned into a massive commercial hit. Number 7. Mineral. Mineral's first album, The Power of Failing, came out in early 1996 and slowly became a massive deal for the 90s emo scene. Even though they weren't mainstream stars, huge record labels like Interscope were desperate to sign them. They eventually signed a big major label deal, but the pressure and exhaustion took a toll. While working on their second album, the band decided to call it quits and went on a farewell tour in late 1997. Their second record, End Serenading, didn't even come out until 1998, after they had already broken up. In fact, singer Chris Simpson had to go back to the studio alone to finish the vocals long after the band was gone. They only lasted about 4 years, but their music, especially songs like Gloria, deeply influenced later bands like Death Cab for Cutie. Number 6. The Promise Ring. The Promise Ring's 1997 album Nothing Feels Good sold over 50,000 copies, a huge deal at the time, when most similar bands only sold a fraction of that. By working with producer Jay Robbins, they swapped the usual messy sound for polished pop hooks, even landing a spot on the New York Times Best of the Year list. But their rise was interrupted by a scary van accident in early 1998 that sent singer Davey Von Bohlen through a windshield. As they recovered, the band started moving away from the emo scene entirely to play straight-up pop music. While other bands eventually became superstars using this same blueprint, the Promise Ring were the ones who first proved the genre could be both emotionally honest and a total blast to listen to. Number 5. Texas is the Reason. Texas is the Reason's debut EP sold 30,000 copies on Revelation Records, huge numbers for an indie emo band. And their 1996 album, Do You Know Who You Are, became one of the label's best sellers. Major labels smelled blood in the water, with bidding reaching $3.5 million for 3 albums, and the band eventually agreed to sign with Capitol Records for over $1 million. But right before putting pen to paper in 1997, the pressure broke them. During a European tour, drummer Chris Daly and guitarist Norman Brannon made a pact that if their final German show was amazing, they'd call it quits. When 800 Germans sang along to their opener, they looked at each other and knew it was over. They walked away from millions, leaving behind one perfect album, then disappeared before they could sell out. Number 4. Captain Jazz. In 1995, a group of Chicago teens called Captain Jazz released their only album, a chaotic masterpiece with a massive 34-word title most fans just call Schmappin' Schmazz. They sold records out of their trunks and played VFW halls, blending surreal lyrics with raw, messy energy that defined the Midwest emo sound. Everything fell apart when guitarist Victor Villarreal had a seizure from a Ritalin overdose in Little Rock. The band didn't know how to handle it and split up in July 1995. They were gone before anyone outside the Midwest knew they existed, but Schmappin' Schmazz became the emo velvet underground, spawning American Football, Joan of Arc, The Promise Ring, Owen, and basically half the Midwest emo family tree. Number 3. Jawbreaker. Jawbreaker signed to DGC Records for just under $1 million after years of saying they'd never sell out. And when Dear You dropped in September 1995, the punk scene turned on them viciously. The album sold around 40,000 copies in its first year, nowhere near what the label expected. And the pressure caused a fistfight in the tour van that broke the band up in 1996. Songs like Accident Prone and Jet Black became essential listening for the next generation of emo bands, and by the time Jawbreaker reunited in 2017, the album that supposedly killed them had become one of the most influential punk records ever made. They were just too far ahead of their time. Number 2. American Football. American Football recorded their only album in 4 days during spring 1999 while still in college at the University of Illinois, knowing they'd break up the moment they graduated. The album did okay at college radio, but went nowhere commercially. The band immediately split when Mike Kinsella and Steve Holmes moved to Chicago, while drummer Steve Lamos headed 1,000 miles away to Colorado. Then something weird happened. The album kept getting bootlegged and passed around internet forums, slowly building a cult following. It just kept getting discovered, inspiring bands, and being rediscovered by new fans. When they reunited in 2014 and Polyvinyl released a deluxe edition, demand literally crashed the label's website, proving the album nobody cared about in 1999 had quietly become one of the most important emo records ever made. Number 1. Sunny Day Real Estate.
So I say, still away.
Sunny Day Real Estate's Diary dropped on May 10, 1994 on Sub Pop, got decent rock radio play for Seven and In Circles, but never charted on Billboard. The Seattle band wrapped themselves in mystery, one publicity photo, one interview, and performed on The Jon Stewart Show in September 1994, but by then they already knew it was over. Frontman Jeremy Ennick had converted to Christianity, causing tensions that imploded the band while recording their second album. Sub Pop released it with no title, no artwork, just a pink cover. But Diary became a slow burn classic, eventually selling over 231,000 copies to become Sub Pop's 7th best-selling album ever. After the split in 1995, bassist Nate Mendel and drummer William Goldsmith famously joined Dave Grohl to form the first lineup of the Foo Fighters. That's the list. If you've got a favorite underdog band we didn't mention, drop it in the comments. And make sure to like and subscribe for more.